Hey guys, a lot of people don't seem too sure on what kind of bossing weapons they should use now. Or so I've gone through I've done the mass for it and I've done some physical testing as well to confirm my mass my maths and I've made a list of I guess the order of the best weapons and this order I'll include it in the description as well. I It does not take into account anything from like skills or other items like your Titan gloves or whatever. So reload speed will of course make all of these weaker, and the ones with smaller clips will be made even weaker from that. But if you have really high reload speed, you can get around that. But yeah, this is not taking that into account. This is just the straight stats from their damage, their dot, and their attack speed. That's all this is really taking into account. I'm also not taking into account Pierce because that does technically increase the maximum potential damage of the gun. That is a mobbing feature, not necessarily an actual single target DPS feature, and not at all a single target DPS feature. Yeah, if you have one single target, no matter what your Pierce is, you're not going to increase your damage from increasing from that increased Pierce. So number one, first we'll just go through the new items because there are some actual like legacy items which will now be quite powerful from this update. But currently, the new list of items that can drop, or after the update where semi-auto weapons cannot get overclocked anymore has not been applied yet apparently, but it will be soon. This is talking about the weapons that will be the best after that update. So, I'll get started. The number one highest DPS weapon in the game is the Shockfield. That's no different. That was always the case. The Shockfield always had the highest potential. It has fairly high damage. It shoots 10 bullets per shot, and it has very high rate of fire. Oh, I don't know if it was always the case. Early on, it didn't have this high rate of fire, and it was a lot weaker. I think that was buffed up that rate of fire a fair bit, which made it quite good. But yeah, this used to have like over 100k potential DPS. Now it has been halved because it is a semi-auto, and unless I'll also take into account this semi-auto patch stuff will probably change after it because, for example, the Hornet has been nerfed considerably from that. I don't know if it'll stay like that. I don't think it should. The Hornet's meant to be a really rare, really powerful gun, but it's not really at the moment. Um, um, well, it is at the moment, but it won't be after the next patch, so look out for that. Anyway, shock field. Back to the shock field. Um, Maximum potential shock field with like max deadly, max overclocked. That will get you with its doesn't say it here, but 10 shots. Yeah, there. Uh, well, without overclocked because you won't be able to overclock it anymore. That will give you like 51k damage, 51.2k, which is very effective when paired with faster reload speeds. But you need to get really close in order to do it. Personally, I wouldn't really use this gun just because it's well, firstly because it does energy damage and I play a lot of solo play, so it's not reliable in solo play because the most common boss you get is Savage Wickers and they have a very high resistance to energy, which uh this gun deals. Is it energy? Yeah, energy. Energy or shock, whatever. A couple guns have energy or shock, whatever. But yeah, Wickers resist that, so that's why I don't personally use this gun. But it is the highest potential damage gun if you max out your reload speed enough and have deadly on it. Um, Second place is the stripper. Still, at actually the stripper's gone up, I think. Um, but yeah, stripper. You can still overclock it since it was changed to full auto. So that's power. That power there hasn't been lost as it was with like the Hornet, for example. Uh, a best combo for just pure damage, overclock, tenacious, deadly. That will give you the most just straight damage out of it, out of all of Augs. Um, just because pinpoint doesn't affect like crits, so if you did go into crits in your skill tree, then you're not gonna getting pinpoint. I don't have a pinpoint one, and it is weaker than a deadly one. Although the actual damage bonus you get from crits increases the base damage on this gun so high that it's you still get a huge bonus anyway from being crit. Reason this gun is so good still is because it applies 48 dots every second, which have a 3-second expiration date. So you can just stack up so many dots on an enemy at a time that it just does crazy damage. It in practice, the actual sheet power is only about right now about 21k, almost 22k. It used to be well before without overclocked. It used to be pretty much just 24k, so it hasn't really dropped that much. It's only dropped like 2.3 thousand damage is all it's dropped. So it's still just as powerful as before, really. Um, but yeah, third place is the Hicks. Uh, the Hicks itself has 29.3k damage, and it only applies 4 applications a second though, which also have an expiration of 3. So the dots don't really stack up as much. So it has very good just base damage, but the it has less of a focus on the dot, so it's not as powerful as the stripper. And it is also another reason why I personally don't really use it is because it is a fire damage gun, which Wickers are extremely resistant to. So it is quite useless, quite useless in that scenario. Um, but there is hope for the Hicks still. It did lose its overclocked, so the maximum rate of fire has been halved, but it was also buffed at the same time, so it's up to a 4 base. So it's stronger at the base level, but it doesn't have as high a potential as it used to have. Still though, it is it is quite high up there now. It's not too bad if you're like using it against something that isn't a Wicker. uh, Anyway, third place is the Sublight. The Sublight got a huge buff. It had its damage increased a fair bit, so now it's actually raised up to like 31k damage per second. So that's not too bad. I had my doubts about the Sublight before. I was never really a fan of it, but I mean it's not really too bad now. I still won't really use it, but that's more just personal preference now. It's still a good gun. Uh, so yeah, that is my fourth place at the moment. I'm pretty sure I haven't forgotten any, but my fifth place is the Hornet. Hornet used to be right up there with the Stripper. The Stripper, I personally thought it was a lot better still. Um, but yeah, the Hornet has really lost its touch now, unless it gets some kind of change with the next patch, because as a semi-auto weapon, it will be affected by that patch, and it will lose half its rate of fire, which will drop its potential damage down to only 22k, which puts it even lower than the Sublight, which is kind of bad. I guess it is a low movement speed, but other than that, we look at the pierce on them. Sublight has better pierce, better rate of fire now because you'll be able to overclock it still. Almost as good damage, same clip size, and a slower reload time, and it's also fully automatic. So I yeah, I would never use the Hornet over the Sublight anymore unless something seriously like big is done to change the Hornet. Because that's I don't know. Personally, like I thought the Hornet was meant to be like the top gun that you shot for. That's never really been the case, except for that time when it had like 20 RPS, which was that was a bit insane. There was no doubt about that. That was wrong. But now it's not even not even in the top three anymore, which I don't know. I don't know if I like that really. I maybe I'd hope that maybe the damage gets buffed or something, or if it gets changed to full auto. But hmm, as it stands right now, I would much prefer to use a Sublight over a Hornet, which the only real benefit to using a Hornet now is the speed, although you also lose almost half the pierce. So it's the Sublight's still decent as a mobbing weapon as well as a bossing weapon. You could probably clear the entire round quite nicely just using this, maybe like with adaptive on it or something. That's all you'd really need. And it's really cheap to get ammo for as well, like $800 for 200. This is half that price for more bullets. Um, I mean half that price for less bullets. Sorry, man. Um, this is half the price for about a third of the bullets. I said it wrong again. Wow. My bad. Sorry about that. Anyway, $800 for 200 bullets. 1,600 for 60. You can see the difference yourself. I don't need to confuse myself anymore. um, that's the main thing that I always thought that was good about the Sublight before. It was cheap ammo, nothing really else. But now it's good in other areas. Now to talk about the legacies. So legacy is basically stuff that you can't get anymore. The Shockfield. Uh, since the Shockfield lost overclocked, the Legacy Shockfield is a Shockfield that has overclocked. The maximum potential you could get out of that was 102k, about that, which quite good. It's lost half of that now. It's still on top. Yeah, fair enough. I can't really complain too much about that. I mean, you did have to get really close in to actually achieve it, but it still had that, which was really high. So, second place is the Legacy Hicks. So the Legacy Hicks actually got buffed from this patch quite nicely, because since the rate of fire was increased to go along with its lack of overclocked now, ones that still have overclock got both of those. So the maximum potential you can get out of a Hicks now is actually almost 59k, which like with also 8 applications a second of an expiration of 3, that is really good. That is quite nice. I wish I had one. My best one is only 7.3. I really wish I had a 10.3 one now, but yeah, that is even better than the new Shockfield. Um, and you don't have to get in close to do it. So Legacy Hicks, pretty crazy. Uh, third place is the new Shockfield, which cool. That's fair enough. Fourth place is the Legacy Hornet. Legacy Hornet being a Hornet that has overclocked. That had a potential back then of about 44k. So yeah, double the current Hornet. I kind of think that the Hornet should stay at about 40 to 50k damage. I hope that something is done about that. And fifth place is the regular stripper, since there is no legacy stripper because it was changed completely to full auto. All new strippers and all old strippers as well have all been changed to full auto. So there is no more, like there is no such thing as a legacy stripper, which has the old rate of fire or anything. That does not exist. So yeah, fifth place is the legacy stripper. The sorry, regular stripper. If there was a legacy stripper, it would probably be second place. Maybe third. Yeah, second place, I'd say. Just because of that huge number of applications, since has that doubled to like 90ish, more than 90 applications a second. That's even better than the Hicks, the Legacy Hicks. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this now. The that's my thoughts on all that now. The um, all that list will be down in the description if you want to look at it in more detail. But other than that, I hope that this helped us out, and I will see you on Monday.